In the frigid shadows of a narrow alley in Philadelphia, the sharp clang of metal echoed through the night, a sound as cold and unyielding as a blade slicing through the air. Clang, clang. It wasn't just the sound of a hammer striking concrete. It was the rhythm of a life slipping away, a desperate heartbeat fading into despair. Magnificent, isn't it? A man's voice rasped, thick with twisted satisfaction. You're a masterpiece now, kid. A true work of art. His laughter, low and guttural, filled the alley like a predator savoring its prey. Perfection. Clang. Another strike, followed by a faint, anguished cry from a young man. Please, it hurts. Let me go. I'm begging you. Shut up, the man snarled, his voice ice cold. Let's see if you can still talk after this. Clang. The final blow silenced everything. The alley fell still, save for the man's heavy breathing and the faint whistle of wind through the skeletal branches overhead. He stood over the crumpled form of the young man, sprawled in a pool of blood, his face frozen in a mask of terror, as if clinging to a fleeting hope before the light in his eyes vanished. The man's lips curled into a grotesque smile, his eyes gleaming with a manic intensity. A masterpiece, he muttered, his voice barely above a whisper. My finest work yet. 3 years later. Philadelphia in late autumn was a city of contrasts. Golden leaves drifting through crisp air, set against the gray sprawl of urban decay. Emily Tran, a final-year student at the University of Pennsylvania, hurried along a quiet street in Old City, her breath visible in the chilly evening. A dull headache throbbed at her temples, a nagging companion for days, but it was nothing compared to the deeper ache in her heart. 5 years ago, her twin brother, Ethan Tran, had vanished without a trace, leaving a void that no amount of time could fill. Emily and Ethan had been inseparable, two halves of a whole. Their identical chestnut eyes, the way they mirrored each other's shy smiles, and their shared dreams of escaping their small hometown for a brighter future had bound them together. But one fateful night, Ethan disappeared, leaving behind no note, no clue, only silence. The police had exhausted every lead, eventually closing the case, and their parents clung to a fragile hope that Ethan was out there, alive, chasing a new life. Emily, though, felt something else, a strange, unshakable sense that her brother was still nearby, watching over her. It was a feeling that both comforted and unnerved her, like a whisper from a ghost she couldn't see. Once a dreamer who scribbled poetry and sketched sunsets, Emily had hardened since Ethan's disappearance. Her soft, wistful nature had given way to pragmatism, her focus now on her studies and part-time job to support her family. Her delicate features and long, dark hair still turned heads, but her eyes carried a quiet sorrow, hidden behind a practiced smile. Her friends noticed the change, though they never spoke of it, sensing the weight she carried. To pay for tuition and gain experience, Emily had taken a clerical job at a small marketing firm in Center City, the same firm where Ethan had worked before he vanished. Through the help of Lucas and Gwen, Ethan's close friend and a senior employee, Emily settled into the role. Lucas was reserved but kind, his steady presence a lifeline in her chaotic world. He lingered after work to help her with reports, drove her home on late nights, and offered quiet reassurances. Emily was grateful, yet she kept him at arm's length, her heart guarded since the day Ethan disappeared. A fateful morning. At 5 a.m., Philadelphia was cloaked in a misty dawn, the streets silent under a blanket of fog. Emily pedaled her old bike to the office, her breath forming clouds in the frosty air. She had a crucial exam that morning and planned to organize her desk and request a half-day off. The office building loomed ahead, its windows dark except for the faint glow from the security desk. She parked her bike and flashed a smile at the guard. Henry Cole, a man in his early 30s with a friendly demeanor but eyes that always seemed to hold something back. Morning, Henry. I'm in early today. Mind watching my bike? Up before the sun. Huh. You're a machine, Emily. Henry chuckled, his smile warm but fleeting. Go on up, I've got your bike. Thanks, Emily called, chaining her bike to a rack before climbing the stairs. The office hallway was a tunnel of shadows, lit only by flickering fluorescent lights. Her footsteps echoed on the marble floor, mingling with the eerie howl of wind slipping through a cracked window. The air felt heavy, oppressive, as if the building itself were holding its breath. Then, a sharp sound, whoosh, cut through the silence from the end of the hall. Emily froze, her heart pounding. Just the wind, she told herself, but the hallway was sealed tight. No breeze can make that sound. Her mind flashed to a teasing remark from Lucas the previous day. "This place is haunted, Emily. Watch out for ghosts." She'd laughed it off, retorting, "If I see one, I'll trap it for you." But now, alone in the dark, those words felt like a curse. She quickened her pace, her breath shallow, memories of Ethan flooding back, his hand in hers as they walked home at night, his voice calming her fears of the dark. Without him, she felt exposed, vulnerable. Another sound, a faint shuffle, made her heart lurch. Then, a shadow darted across her path. Emily stopped dead, her blood turning to ice. She squeezed her eyes shut and screamed, "No, get away." A warm hand touched her shoulder, and she flinched. "Emily, it's me. Henry." The guard's voice was laced with concern. "You okay? I was just doing my rounds before the office opens." Emily opened her eyes, her face pale, her breath ragged. "Henry, you scare me half to death. Why didn't you use a flashlight?" He scratched his head, sheepish. "Flashlight's busted. Come on, I'll walk you to your office. You look like you've seen a ghost." Reluctantly, Emily followed, her unease lingering like a shadow. Henry's presence was reassuring, but something about his sudden appearance gnawed at her. Whispers in the dark. The hallway incident haunted Emily in the days that followed. Lucas, noticing her shaken demeanor, went out of his way to comfort her, sharing bad jokes and insisting on driving her home after late shifts. Slowly, she began to relax, though the memory of that dark corridor lingered like a bad dream. It was the 3rd anniversary of Ethan's disappearance, a day Emily usually spent with her family, lighting incense and praying for his return. This year, her exams and work kept her in the city. She visited a small Buddhist temple at dawn, lighting a candle for Ethan, her heart heavy with hope and grief. That evening, as the sun dipped below the skyline, Lucas called, saying he'd left an urgent file for her with Henry. The guard had gone home, but a coworker gave Emily his address, a short bike ride away in a rundown part of Fishtown. Emily arrived at a narrow alley, where Henry's dilapidated row house stood shrouded in dusk. A towering magnolia tree dominated the front yard, its glossy leaves catching the dim streetlight, its sweet scent filling the air. Emily paused, struck by a memory. Ethan's favorite green jacket, the same shade as the magnolia's leaves, worn the last time she saw him. The coincidence sent a chill through her. A hand on her shoulder made her jump. Henry stood behind her, his usual smile in place. "Emily, here for the file." "Sorry, I mix it up with my stuff. Come inside, I'll grab it." Uneasy but polite, Emily nodded, chaining her bike and following him. The iron gate creaked shut behind her, the sound sharp and ominous. "That magnolia's beautiful," she said, trying to ease the tension. "How long have you had it?" 3 years, Henry replied, his voice oddly soft. "Planted it exactly 3 years ago today." Emily missed the weight in his words, distracted by her thoughts of Ethan. Inside, the house was cold and dim, its peeling walls casting distorted shadows under a single flickering bulb. She sat on a worn couch, her unease growing. She wanted the file and to leave, but Henry seemed to stall, offering her tea and making small talk. "You know, Emily," he said, sitting across from her, his eyes fixed on her with unsettling intensity, "I really like you. You remind me of Ethan. He was special." Emily's heart skipped. "You knew Ethan?" Her voice trembled. Henry's smile twisted, sending a shiver down her spine. "Oh yes. He was my first masterpiece." Before Emily could process his words, the door creaked open. Lucas stepped in, but his warm demeanor was gone, replaced by a calculating glint. "Right on time, Henry," he said, his voice dripping with malice. "Two is always better than one." Emily's world tilted. "Lucas? What's going on?" Her voice cracked as she looked between them, realization dawning. "What did you do to Ethan?" Henry rose, a small hammer glinting in his hand. "Ethan was our first work of art," he said, his tone reverent. He's nourishing that magnolia out there. And you, Emily, you'll be our next. A rose, perhaps. Emily stumbled back, her back hitting the cold wall. She screamed, but their laughter drowned her out, a sickening chorus of madness. The truth unearthed. Just as Henry raised the hammer, a deafening crash shattered the moment. The door burst open, and a SWAT team stormed in, led by Detective Sarah Lynn, who had been investigating Ethan's case for years. "Freeze! Drop the weapon!" she bellowed. Henry and Lucas froze, caught off guard, and were swiftly subdued. Emily collapsed, sobbing with relief and terror. Detective Lynn knelt beside her. "You're safe now, Emily. We've been watching these two for months. Your visit gave us the final piece." In the interrogation, the horrifying truth emerged. Henry and Lucas were serial killers, obsessed with crafting art from their victims' suffering. Ethan had been their first, murdered 3 years ago and buried beneath the magnolia tree. They had lured Emily with meticulous care, exploiting her trust and her connection to Ethan. Emily returned home, forever scarred. The magnolia was uprooted, revealing Ethan's remains, bringing painful closure to her family. But the sound of wind through leaves, the echo of footsteps in dark alleys, would always carry the chilling laughter of Henry and Lucas, a reminder of the darkness she had narrowly escaped.